The A part of this question states that we have to write the equation. So based on this information, so we have to determine the amplitude, which is the first part of solving this equation. We have the information, the maximum value of it being 4, and the minimum value of this function being -2. So there is a formula for this where it's amplitude equals 4, which is max minus min divided by 2. So in this case, 4 minus -2 divided by 2, which equals to 3. So that's the first part of our equation. And obviously this is a sine function, so we would put sine over here. And then square brackets, so the vertical compression for this would be 2 in this case. And then we have the phase shift where it says here x plus 5 pi over 6. And we would need to find the vertical translation in this case, and there's a formula for this where c equals, c being the vertical shift, max plus min divided by 2. So that's 4 plus -2 divided by 2, and that would be 4 minus 2, obviously equaling to 1. So it would be +1 over here. Now B part wants us to draw the graph. So in the beginning, a regular sine graph would have a period of 2 pi. So we'll draw 2 graphs here, where it's so in this case pi divided by 2 pi and 2 pi. So we're drawing here y equals sine x. Now, based on this graph, we want to translate all the translations that are stated here. So, for the second graph, we have to take into account this, which is this first, which is a vertical stretch by a factor of 3. Horizontal compression by a factor horizontal compression by a factor of 1/2. A horizontal shift (5 pi over 6 to the left), and a vertical shift up 1 unit up. So our dimensions would be, we would have to do 5 pi over 4 in the x-axis, pi over 4, pi over 2, 3 pi over 4, and then pi. Because ultimately this graph is trying to represent a period of pi instead of 2 pi, because this is part of the translation of this equation. So, firstly, based on this graph, we would bring this point, we would bring this point to here. This point to here. This point would be translated to here. And this point would be translated to here. And this point would be translated to here. Because ultimately, we shifted 5 pi over 6 for each of these points to here. Vertical stretched each of these points by 3 and compressed them to be more compressed than this graph by 1/2, and then brought them 1 unit up. So ultimately this graph would look like this. And that's, so this is translation of a sine function based on translating it from y equals to sine x.